Hello friends, welcome to Programming Concepts. My name is Amit and this is part 73 of the ASP.NET Core MVC tutorial. In this video, we will learn about the logging mechanism in ASP.NET Core. This is a continuation of part 72, Use Status Code Pages with Redirects versus Re-execute in ASP.NET Core. So please watch it before proceeding to this one. I shared the link in the description. First, let's understand a few basic concepts around logging. Let's read the definition first. Logging in ASP.NET Core refers to the process of recording application events, exception, and information that can be useful for debugging, troubleshooting, and analyzing application behavior. When you heard the word logging, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? For me, it's a text file. Because in most of my live applications, we store our logs in text file. Some of you might be thinking about databases like SQL, MySQL, etc. Maybe because in your organization or in your college project, you might have to store your logs in some databases, right? So these are the most common places where logs gets captured. Is this statement correct? No. What if I tell you for .NET developers, there is an even more common place where logging happens? Can you guess? No worries if you can't think of it. Let me tell you. These places are your debug and console. Don't believe me? Let's see that in action. Let's go to the Visual Studio. And this is the project which we are working with. We haven't implemented any kind of logging mechanism yet in our project. Let me just select Kestrel as a server. And to do that, I have to select the Pro Concepts profile from the top. I'm selecting it so that we will get the console window. And let's just run our application. In this console window, you can see there are some information provided like the application is listening to this port, use this shortcut to shut down the application, environment and content root path. And you can see all these are of type info logs, information logs. Let's check the same in debug. Let's go to the output window. If you don't see it here, just go to debug, windows and output. Or go to views and then output. Alright, here you can see we have selected show output from debug. And because we selected Kestrel as a web server, the message is from projectname.exe, which is proconcept.exe in our case. If we select ISExpress, messages will be provided by ISExpress. All right. Here we get lots of other messages as compared to console. It's because by default, the module load messages are enabled. Let's disable that. First, let's stop the application and let's go to Tools, Options, Debugging, and Output window. And then off module load messages. Once it is done, let's run your application once again. And you can see we have the same messages and debug window as well. That concludes logging is enabled by default in ASP.NET Core. Let's go to slide again. Now, if I ask you to write logs to text files and write logs to some database, then you have to write separate code for both of them, right? Similarly, console and debug are separate things. And the code or packages or NuGet package, whatever you would like to say, who owns the responsibility to log somewhere called logging provider. So if you have to provide logs in console, you have to write code to display logs in console. But the good news is Microsoft already writes the code and they call it console logging provider. So the console logging provider logs output to the console. For debug, we have debug logging provider. The debug logging provider writes logs output by using the system.diagnostic.debug class, calls to system.diagnostic.debug.writeLines writes to the debug provider. Out of the box, Microsoft provides support for two more sources. Event source, and we have an event source logging provider for this. The event source provider writes to a cross-platform event sources with the name Microsoft Extensions Logging. On Windows, the provider uses ETW. And the last one, event log. And we have event log logging provider. The event log provider sends logs output to the Windows event log. Do not worry about these providers. We will cover them in some other video. The idea is there are lots of places where we can write these logs. If I talk about the simplest one, a text file, these providers don't log in a text file. So you have two options, either write your own logic to write logs to a text file or use any other party logging provider. Simple, extremely simple. Do not worry about anything. We will cover everything in our upcoming videos. First, quickly let's find out which class has that code written. I mean where the code is written to capture logs in these console or debug. For application level configuration, the best place is program class. Let's go to program.cs class. And we have a method called create builder. Let's go to Microsoft page. Here they specify call window web application.createBuilder, which adds the following logging provider: console, debug, event source, event log, Windows only. So this particular line adds all these providers. All right. This is the GitHub page of the web host class, which is internally called by web application.createBuilder method. And here search for create default builder method. And here you can see this method is doing many things along with enabling default logging providers. First, it tries to get a section called logging from our app settings file. And based on that, it enables these logging providers. All right, we'll cover these app setting related stuff later. First, let's see what if we don't want to use this logging provider by default. Can we clear them? And the answer is absolutely. Let's see that. Go to the program.cs class. Here we created a default builder. Here logging is enabled. Let me chain it with another command. Builder.logging.clear providers. Now it will clear all the default logging providers. Let's run our application once again with Kestrel as a web server. Here you can see application is started and there are no logs in console. Let's go to debug. And you can see no logs in debug's window either. Now, if you want to enable any default provider, you can also do that. Let's stop the application. Let's say we only want to enable logs in console. So type builder.logging.add console and run our application once again. And you can see now logs get captured in the console. But in debug, there are still no logs. Simple, extremely simple. Let's quickly summarize. Logging in ASP.NET Core refers to the process of recording application events, exception, and information that can be useful for debugging, troubleshooting, and analyzing application behavior. ASP.NET Core includes a built-in logging framework that allows developer to log messages. The default ASP.NET Core configures the following logging providers: console, debug, event source, and event log on Windows. We can override the default set of logging providers by calling clear providers and adding the specific ones you need. This is a very basic information about logging, and we will cover logging in more detail in our upcoming videos. So that's it from this video. Hope you like our content. If you have any queries related to the content of this video, do ask me in the comments. Till then, thanks for watching.